Hello, Simmers. This is your captain speaking, and we are ready for another training session. Today, we're going to be looking at takeoff and level flight, the third of 8 training sessions within the Microsoft Flight Simulator. So let's go ahead and get started. In today's lesson, we'll be looking at the practice of taxiing. We'll manage attitudes and power to fly at different speeds, accelerate and decelerate at a level altitude, and refine aircraft handling skills. This is another short tutorial. Take about 7 minutes to go through the flight, plus a few minutes for discussion. So let's go ahead and get in and start. Looks like we roll at 55 knots and we will climb at 75 knots. We'll pause this for a moment and be right back. Okay, so here we are at Sedona, Arizona, runway 21, and ready for our lesson.
No matter how many hours I've logged, takeoff still puts a smile on my face. Taking off is not especially difficult, if you remember a few basic principles. First, whenever possible, take off into the wind. This won't be an issue on a calm day like today. Second, before you enter a runway, always make sure it's clear. All right. No cross traffic to contend with. You're clear to taxi. Use your rudder pedals to steer the aircraft into position.
Little sticky brakes there to get them turned off. Just a little difficult.
All right, you're clear for takeoff. Apply full power, and I'll step you through the process. Try to stay on the center line using your rudder. Continue pushing power until you reach 55 knots.
Can't hardly see the speed indicator. There we go.
Good. Now pull back gently on the yoke. Align the top of your instrument panel a couple inches above the horizon. Pitch up and set a good climb attitude.
There we go.
That's it. You're airborne. Focus on flying straight. Use your rudder to keep the runway heading of 210 degrees. If you maintain 75 knots, you'll reach the target altitude of 5,500 feet in no time.
Not really doing 75 knots. Oh, that's 80 there. I can't see the speed indicator very well. No, that's 60. Okay. How do we get 75 knots out of that? We've got to lean it some. I can't get 75 knots out of this. Not at that angle.
Now that you've reached your target altitude, you're ready for part 2 of our lesson. Straight and level flight.
Yeah.
Step 1, adjusting your attitude.
Yeah.
The aircraft is currently in a cruise attitude. You're pushing max power. To stay level, you'll want to ease back the throttle to, say, 1800 RPMs. As you may have noticed, to hold this altitude, you need to pitch the nose up. You could maintain pressure on the yoke to hold steady. However, that's not exactly a precise method of control. The optimal approach is to adjust your trim wheel until you no longer need to push or pull on the yoke. Drag the trim down when you need to set the nose up. Drag it up to set the nose down. Add trim to keep the aircraft at 5,500 feet without increasing throttle. If you feel your pitch slipping and need to get back to the proper attitude, just pull on the yoke, then dial in the right trim. In my experience, when you adjust the trim, you want to make initial rough changes to remove pressure on the yoke. After that, you make small adjustments to find the perfect setting to keep your desired attitude. Understanding trim is fundamental to straight and level flight. It saves you from applying constant pressure on the yoke, which frees you up to focus on other joys of flying. Take as much time as you like practicing with the trim. I'll be here when you're ready to pass the controls.
And there we have it. This is one of the most difficult parts of flying to me, is to trim out the aircraft and get it flying in straight and level. Autopilot makes it look so easy to stay at one altitude without deviating hardly any feet at all. I'm down 100 feet from where I should be, and I'm still climbing. I'm still descending. And if I change the trim just a little bit, then I can get it to ascend again and get it to come back to 5,500, but making it stop at the right place is more difficult for me. It takes a lot of practice, And it really is an art, and you need to work at it to do this well. We'll come back with another training video soon, so come back to the channel. Look to see you there again soon.